May 31st, 1921. Tulsa, Oklahoma. The wealthiest black community in American history is about to be erased from the map in 18 hours by their own neighbors, and then hidden from history for 75 years. But before we get to the destruction, you need to understand what they were destroying, because this wasn't just a neighborhood. This was Black Wall Street, 35 square blocks in Tulsa's Greenwood District, over 300 black-owned businesses, hotels, law firms, a hospital, 2 newspapers, a library, a bus system, a movie theater. Booker T. Washington visited and couldn't believe what he saw. He gave it the name that would define it forever: Black Wall Street. How did this happen? After the Civil War, formerly enslaved people were given land in what would become Oklahoma. They built from nothing. They pooled resources. They created an economy so self-sufficient that white-owned Tulsa businesses complained black residents had no reason to shop with them. That last part is important. Remember it, because that success made them a target. May 30th, 1921. A 19-year-old black shoe shiner named Dick Rowland enters an elevator in downtown Tulsa. The operator is a 17-year-old white girl named Sarah Page. What happened next is still disputed. Page never pressed charges. Most historians believe Rowland stumbled and grabbed her arm to steady himself, but a white clerk heard Page cry out and called the police. The next morning, the Tulsa Tribune ran a headline: "Nab Negro for attacking girl in elevator in 1921, Oklahoma," with those words. That headline was a death sentence, not just for Dick Rowland, for an entire community. Word spread through white Tulsa. Within hours, an angry mob gathered outside the courthouse where Rowland was being held. Hundreds of men, armed, organized. The sheriff barricaded the building, determined to protect Rowland. He knew exactly what this crowd intended. In Greenwood, black veterans of World War I heard what was happening. Men who had fought in the trenches of France for America, who came home to a country that still treated them as less than human. They armed themselves and marched to the courthouse, not to start violence, to prevent a lynching. About 75 armed black men stood between Dick Rowland and the mob. A white man tried to disarm one of the veterans. A shot fired. Nobody knows from which side. And 18 hours of hell began. The white mob, swelling to thousands, swept toward Greenwood. But this wasn't a disorganized mob. They had a plan. They had lists of addresses. They knew exactly where they were going. The police didn't stop them. The police joined them. Tulsa police officers actively participated in the attack. They arrested black residents who were defending their own homes. They helped the attackers. They deputized members of the mob on the spot. Then came something nobody expected. Something that should have been impossible in America. Planes. Private aircraft appeared over Greenwood. Witnesses reported gunfire from the planes. Others reported seeing incendiary devices dropped onto rooftops. American civilians being attacked from the air on American soil. In 1921, the fires started, building by building, block by block. 35 blocks of Black Wall Street burning. The Dreamland Theater, gone. The Stratford Hotel, gone. The Tulsa Star newspaper offices, gone. Churches, schools, hospitals, gone. Residents ran with whatever they could carry. Families separated in the chaos. Children lost parents in the smoke and noise. Elderly residents who couldn't run fast enough were left behind. By the morning of June 1st, 1921, it was over. 35 blocks, completely destroyed. 1,256 homes burned to the ground. Every single business gone. The wealthiest black community in America reduced to ash overnight. The official death toll, 36. But survivors always knew the truth was far worse. Recent archaeological investigations suggest 300 or more may have died. Bodies were thrown in the Arkansas River. Mass graves were dug and hidden. 10,000 black residents left homeless, rounded up and interned in detention camps around Tulsa while their neighborhood still burned around them. And Dick Rowland, the man whose elevator encounter started everything, charges quietly dropped. Sarah Page never pressed charges. He left Tulsa silently and was never heard from again. 146 people were arrested during those 18 hours. Every single one was black. Not one white participant was ever prosecuted. Not one man who burned a home. Not one officer who helped the mob. Not one person in those planes. Zero. Criminal charges. The city of Tulsa's response to the destruction. They tried to rezone Greenwood for commercial use, hoping to prevent black residents from rebuilding and reclaiming their land. It didn't work. The residents came back. They rebuilt with their own money. Zero insurance payouts. Insurers cited riot exclusion clauses. Zero government assistance. Zero acknowledgement of what had been done to them. Black Wall Street rose from the ashes. Again. But then came something more insidious than fire, more destructive than the mob, more lasting than the destruction. Silence. The Tulsa Race Massacre was systematically removed from history, taken out of textbooks, official records buried, newspaper archives went missing. The word massacre replaced with riot, implying equal violence on both sides when there was none. For generations, Tulsa schoolchildren grew up not knowing what happened 35 blocks from their homes. Survivors were pressured not to speak. Many took the truth to their graves. The silence lasted 75 years. Then in 1996, a state commission was formed. In 2001, 80 years later, the official report confirmed what survivors always knew. It was a massacre, not a riot. Planned, coordinated, with government participation. The commission recommended reparations. The Oklahoma legislature voted no. In 2020, almost a century after the massacre, excavations in Tulsa began searching for the rumored mass graves. They found them, coffins, human remains, proof that the official death toll of 36 was a fraction of the real number. America had been sitting on a mass grave for 100 years. In 2021, on the 100th anniversary, the last 3 known survivors, all over 100 years old, testified before Congress. Leslie Benningfield Randall, 107 years old. She was there. She saw it. She testified that she still has nightmares. A 107-year-old woman, still waiting for justice. Congress has still not passed reparations legislation. Today, the historic Vernon AME Church, one of the only buildings that survived, still stands in Greenwood. A small stretch of Greenwood Avenue has been restored with historical markers, but the economic wealth destroyed in those 18 hours was never recovered. Economists estimate the destruction at over $200 million in today's money. The generational wealth stolen from thousands of black families, incalculable. This is the story of Black Wall Street, the wealthiest black community in American history, built from nothing after slavery, destroyed in 18 hours, attacked from the air, aided by police, hidden for 75 years, mass graves found a century later. 3 centenarians testified before Congress and went home without justice. 35 blocks, 300 lives, 75 years of silence, 100 years of waiting. This isn't just black history. This isn't just Oklahoma history. This isn't just 1921. This is American history, hidden in plain sight for a century. And 3 years ago, they finally found the graves. The truth was always there, under the ground, waiting to be found, just like this story was always there, waiting to be told.